The signal pulsed again, a rhythmic anomaly that shouldn't exist 3 meters beneath Europa 7's frozen surface. Elias Chen adjusted his thermal suit and squinted at the scanner's display, his breath forming tiny ice crystals on his beard. Control. "I'm registering something unusual," he reported, voice crackling through the cum. "Organic signatures where there shouldn't be any." "Probably another false reading," came the bored reply. "Remember those ice bacteria from Sector 7? Elias frowned. "Different pattern? Almost like ... hibernation." He switched off the cum without waiting for a response and adjusted his pack. The research outpost was 5 kilometers behind him, and night would fall in 3 hours. He should head back. Instead, he unfolded his compact excavator. The first meter of ice gave way easily. By the second, sweat beaded inside his suit despite the brutal cold. When the excavator broke through the third layer, a faint light pulsed from below, casting an eerie violet glow across his face. "What the hell?" he whispered, reaching for his handheld scanner. The readings made no sense. 3 distinct life forms, humanoid in structure, preserved in some kind of stasis beneath the ice. Their body temperatures registered just above freezing. Metabolism slowed to near death. He dug faster. When the final layer cracked, Elias found himself staring at 3 figures encased in translucent crystal pods. They were female, their skin various shades of lavender and violet, with delicate facial features similar to humans, but with more pronounced cheekbones and slightly pointed ears. White hair like spun silver framed their faces. Elias checked his oxygen levels. 2 hours remaining? Decision time. He pressed his gloved hand against the first pod. The surface felt warm despite the surrounding ice. A control panel flickered at its base, symbols pulsing in an unfamiliar language. "Control would kill me for this," he muttered, reaching for his multi-tool. The pod's seal broke with a soft hiss. Warm air escaped in a cloud of vapor that quickly crystallized in the sub-zero atmosphere. The figure inside didn't stir immediately. Elias moved to the other pods, repeating the process with trembling hands, as the third pod opened. The first woman's eyes fluttered open, startlingly bright, like liquid silver against her purple skin. "Careful," he said, though he knew she couldn't understand. "You're safe." Her lips moved, forming sounds he couldn't comprehend. The translator pinned to his suit blinked, attempting to process the unknown language. The second sister stirred, then the third. They looked at each other, then at him with expressions ranging from fear to curiosity to wariness. The eldest sat up slowly, wincing. She reached toward Elias with a 6-fingered hand, then hesitated. "Who are you?" His translator finally conveyed her words. "Elias Chen, human, researcher." He kept his voice calm. "You were buried in the ice, hibernating." Her silver eyes widened. "For how long?" The translator struggled with her accent but managed the basic meaning. "I don't know," Elias admitted. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" She exchanged glances with her sisters before answering. "I am Veja. These are my sisters Neri and Solia." She touched her chest. "We are ... exiles." The youngest sister Solia began to shiver violently. "We need shelter," Elias said. Decision made. "My outpost is 5 kilometers south. Can you walk?" Veja nodded slowly. "We will try." As they emerged from the ice cave into the howling wind of Europa 7, Elias knew his discovery would change everything. What he didn't know was how these 3 violet-skinned strangers would change him. Morning light filtered through the research outpost's reinforced windows, casting long shadows across the cramped living quarters. Elias leaned against the kitchenette counter, watching steam rise from the nutrient broth he'd prepared. Across the room, the 3 sisters huddled together on his narrow cot, their violet skin luminous against the stark white bedding. "Your temperature readings are stabilizing," he said, keeping his voice soft. The translator on the table between them converted his words with a brief delay. "How are you feeling?" Via, the eldest, straightened her posture. Her silver eyes studied him with cautious intelligence. "Our bodies heal quickly. The cold. It preserves us, though it would have eventually killed us." "Who put you there?" Elias asked, bringing over 3 steaming cups. Was it your people? The middle sister, Neri, took the cup with a grateful nod. Her lavender skin was lighter than Vea's, with faint markings like constellations across her shoulders. Our people believed us flawed, she said, voice bitter. Solia, the youngest, curled her fingers around her cup but didn't drink. We cannot reproduce, she whispered. Our genetic structure is ... damaged. They called us empty vessels. Elias frowned. They exiled you for that? Our society values continuation above all else, Veja explained. Those who cannot contribute to the next generation are considered wasteful. Resources better spent elsewhere. That's barbaric, Elias said before he could stop himself. A sad smile touched Vea's lips. Your kind has never practiced eugenics? Elias looked away, unable to deny humanity's own dark chapters. We try to learn from our mistakes, he said finally. His cum unit buzzed, making the sisters flinch. Elias silenced it quickly. That's control. They'll be wondering why I haven't checked in. Will you tell them about us? Veja asked, her silver eyes searching his face. Elias hesitated. Standard protocol was clear. All extraterrestrial discoveries must be immediately reported, especially sentient life forms. But he'd heard rumors about what happened to the specimens in the planetary labs. Not yet, he decided. I need to understand more first. Relief softened Vea's features. Thank you. Later, as Elias worked at his console, falsifying research logs, Veja approached. Her movements were graceful, despite her recent ordeal. She watched his hands move across the controls. Your written language, she said. It's beautiful. Elias smiled. It's just standard data code. Nothing special. To me it is. She leaned closer, her shoulder almost touching his. Our writing flows like water. Each character connects to the next. I'd like to see it sometime, Elias said, suddenly aware of her proximity, of the subtle, sweet scent that seemed to emanate from her skin. Vea's silver eyes met his. Perhaps I will teach you. A crash from the other side of the room broke the moment. Solia had knocked over a storage container, spilling equipment across the floor. She knelt, frantically trying to gather everything. I'm sorry, she gasped. I didn't mean. Elias hurried over. It's okay. Nothing's broken. As they cleaned up together, Neri watched from the cot, her expression thoughtful. You were kind, Elias Chen. Different from the others we have encountered. Others? Elias asked, looking up. You've met humans before? The sisters exchanged glances loaded with meaning. We have walked many frozen worlds, Veja said carefully. Our exile has been longer than you might imagine. Before Elias could press further, the outpost's proximity alarm blared. He rushed to the monitor, heart pounding. A transport vessel, he said, scanning the readings. Heading this way. Security patrol, not research. Fear flashed across Solia's young face. Neri reached for her sister's hand. Veja stood, suddenly regal despite her tattered clothing. What will you do, Elias Chen? The question hung in the air between them as the transport's engine roar grew closer. Snow pummeled the outpost windows as Elias sealed the floor. He'd modified it years ago to protect sensitive samples from temperature fluctuations. Now, it concealed 3 alien women from the security patrol's cursory inspection. Just a standard check, Officer Bryce had said, eyeing the single cot with suspicion. Unusual readings from your sector yesterday? Ice bacteria, Elias had replied with practiced nonchalance. I'm writing up the report now. When the patrol finally departed, Elias waited a full hour before releasing the compartment's lock. Veja emerged first, silver eyes gleaming in the dim light. They're gone, Elias assured her, but they'll be back. Those readings I mentioned from when I found youth, they've registered at headquarters. Neri climbed out next. Helping a trembling Solia, we should leave, she said. Find another place to hide. Not in this storm. Elias gestured to the windows, now completely covered in snow. We're locked in for at least 2 days. The cramped quarters suddenly felt smaller with the 4 of them standing there, unsure what came next. Elias busied himself preparing a meal, keenly aware of Veja watching his movements. You risked yourself for us, she said quietly. Why? Elias considered the question as he stirred the pot of synthetic stew. Because it was right, he said finally, and because I've been alone out here too long. That night, with the storm howling outside, they shared stories. Elias spoke of Earth, of oceans and forests long since destroyed. The sisters described their home world, a place of crystal spires and violet skies. We were healers, Neri explained, her voice soft with remembrance. Until the genetic testing revealed our flaw. Not a flaw, Elias said firmly. A difference. Veja smiled at that, a real smile that transformed her face. She sat beside him on his narrow cot, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her violet skin. In all our travels, she said, no one has ever defended us this way, when the others slept. Veja remained awake with Elias. They spoke in whispers, their faces close in the dim light of the monitoring station. Your people believe in touch, she observed. Watching his hands as he worked the controls. You communicate through contact, some of us do, Elias admitted. Suddenly self-conscious of how often he'd guided them with a hand at an elbow or shoulder, Veja hesitated. Her skin was warmer than a human's, with a subtle texture like velvet. My people rarely touch outside of family bonds. It is considered ... intimate. Elias felt his pulse quicken, but didn't pull away. And this? He asked softly. This is me, learning your ways, she replied. But her silver eyes held something more. The storm intensified overnight, rattling the outpost's foundations. Elias woke to find Veja beside him. Her white hair spread across his shoulder, where she'd fallen asleep during their conversation. Her face in repose looked younger. The worry lines smoothed away. He should move, give her space. But instead found himself studying the delicate patterns that swirled across her violet skin like ghostly fingerprints. When her eyes opened, catching him watching, neither looked away. Your heart beats faster than ours, she whispered, placing her hand against his chest. It's not usually this fast, Elias admitted, the moment stretched between them, taut with possibility. When Vaya leaned forward, her lips brushing his with tentative curiosity, Elias felt something crack open inside him, a door, long sealed shut. Outside, the storm raged on, burying the outpost deeper in snow and buying them precious time before the world beyond would force its way back in. The blizzard lasted for days, sealing the outpost in a cocoon of ice and snow. For Elias, those days blurred together in a dreamlike haze, preparing meals, teaching the sisters about human technology, and spending increasingly precious moments alone with Veja. Your colony has strict regulations about alien contact, she asked on the fourth night, tracing patterns on his palm as they sat huddled near the heating unit. Elias nodded grimly. After the Proxima incident, all extraterrestrial life forms must be processed through central containment. They call it protective custody. But you know better, she said, not a question. I've seen the specimens they've protected, he replied, voice hardening. I won't let that happen to you or your sisters. The cum system crackled suddenly to life, startling them both. Research Station E7. This is Director Keller. Respond immediately. Elias exchanged a worried glance with Veja before crossing to the console. This is Chen receiving. Explain your failure to submit daily reports. The director's voice was clipped with irritation. And why your excavation equipment was activated without authorization. Storm damage to the cum array, Elias lied smoothly. Had to repair a section of the outpost wall that collapsed. Just got communications back online. Pause. We're sending a retrieval team. Your rotations being cut short? Elias felt his stomach drop. Sir, the storm is clearing. Team arrives tomorrow at 0800. The connection terminated with a sharp click. Via touched his shoulder, her silver eyes reflecting his fear. What does this mean? It means we have 12 hours to disappear, Elias said, already moving toward the supply cabinet. Wake your sisters. They worked through the night, preparing survival packs from Elias's limited supplies. Neri proved surprisingly adept with the equipment, quickly understanding the function of each device Elias demonstrated. Our people are technologically advanced, she explained, adjusting the settings on a portable heater. Though our methods differ, Solia, still the most fragile of the three, watched with wide eyes as Elias mapped their escape route on a worn tablet. There's an abandoned mining outpost here, he explained, pointing to a blinking dot 30 kilometers north. It's off the grid. We can shelter there while I arrange transport off-planet. You would leave your home? Solia asked, voice small. For us. Elias looked at her, then at Neri, and finally at Veja. This place stopped being home a long time ago. As dawn approached, Elias made one last check of their supplies. Veja found him there, methodically counting ration packs. You're afraid, she observed. Terrified, he admitted with a wry smile, but not of leaving. Veja stepped closer, her warmth a stark contrast to the chill creeping through the outpost as Elias powered down non-essential systems. Then of what? Of failing you. The words escaped before he could reconsider them. Her hand rose to his face, thumb tracing the line of his jaw. You found us beneath the ice when no one else would have even looked. You cannot fail us, Elias Chen. When she kissed him this time, it wasn't with curiosity, but with certainty. Elias pulled her closer, memorizing the feeling of her in his arms, the sweet scent of her skin, soft sound she made when his fingers tangled in her silver white hair. We should join the others, she whispered against his mouth, though she made no move to pull away. One more minute, he replied, forehead resting against hers. The moment was shattered by the outpost's proximity alarm. Elias rushed to the console, heart pounding. No, he breathed, staring at the readout. They're early. Veja's expression hardened into resolve. What do we do? Elias grabbed the final pack and thrust it into her hands. We run. Now. Dawn broke over Europa 7's eastern horizon, painting the endless snowfields in shades of pale gold and rose. Elias led the three sisters through a narrow ravine, their breath forming clouds in the frigid air. The transport landed at the outpost, he said, checking the tracker on his wrist. They'll discover we're gone soon. Neri adjusted her pack, the determined set of her jaw matching Veja's. Only Solia showed her fear. Violet skin paler than usual, silver eyes darting to scan their surroundings. How much farther to this mining station? Veja asked, moving easily despite the difficult terrain. 20 kilometers, Elias replied. We need to reach it before nightfall. Temperatures dropped to lethal levels after dark. They pressed on, the sisters adapting quickly to the treacherous landscape. Elias marveled at their resilience, these women who had survived exile, entombment in ice, and now fled across a hostile planet at his side. Midday brought a brief respite in a sheltered overhang. As they shared a ration bar, Neri suddenly gripped Elias's arm. Listen, she whispered. Above them, the faint whine of an aircraft cut through the still air. Search drone, Elias hissed, pulling them deeper into the shadow of the rock formation. Don't move, they froze, as the mechanical eye swept the area, its sensors probing for heat signatures. Elias held his breath, one arm around Veja, the other reaching for Solia's trembling hand. The drone hovered for an agonizing minute before continuing its programmed path. Only when the sound faded did Elias release his breath. They know we're out here, he said grimly. We need to move faster. The terrain grew more challenging as they approached the mining outpost, with jagged ice formations and hidden crevasses slowing their progress. Twilight was falling when disaster struck. Solia's cry pierced the air as the ground gave way beneath her. She disappeared into a fissure, the sound of falling ice echoing in her wake. Solia! Neri screamed, dropping to her knees at the edge. Elias was already securing a line from his pack. I'll get her. Stay back from the edge, it's unstable. The descent into the crevasse was treacherous, ice walls slick and crumbling. 15 meters down, he found Solia crumpled on a narrow ledge, her leg bent at an unnatural angle. "I'm sorry," she whispered as he reached her. "I've ruined everything." "Nothing's ruined," Elias assured her, carefully splinting her leg with equipment from his pack. "We're going to get through this together." The ascent was painfully slow, with Solia strapped to Elias's back, each movement threatening to dislodge more ice. When they finally emerged, Veja embraced them both with a ferocity that stole Elias's breath. "I thought we'd lost you," she murmured against his neck. Night was falling as they finally glimpsed the abandoned mining outpost, its dark silhouette a promise of shelter. But their relief was short-lived. Wine of Vengeance announced the arrival of a security transport less than a kilometer behind them. "They've tracked us," Elias said, supporting Solia between himself and Neri. "We'll never make it before they catch up." Veja's silver eyes flashed with sudden determination. "Yes, we will." She turned to her sisters, speaking rapidly in their native tongue. Neri protested, but Veja's tone brooked no argument. "What are you planning?" Elias demanded. "You and Neri take Solia to the outpost," Veja said, already removing her pack. "I will lead them away." "No," Elias seized her arm. "They'll capture you or worse." Her smile was both sad and fierce. "My people survived ice ages that lasted millennia, Elias. The cold is in our blood. I can evade them long enough for you to reach your ship." "And then what? I just leave you here?" The thought was unbearable. Veja pressed something into his hand, a small crystal that pulsed with inner light. "This will lead you back to me. It's how we found each other after our exile began." Before he could protest further, she kissed him with bruising intensity. "Find your ship. Come back for me. I will survive until then." With a final look at her sisters, Veja turned and sprinted across the snow, deliberately leaving clear tracks leading away from the outpost. The security transport changed course, following her. "She will survive," Neri said firmly, though tears froze on her cheeks. "She always does." Elias clutched the crystal, watching Veja's figure grow smaller against the vast white landscape. The crystal warmed in his palm, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. "Let's go," he said, supporting Solia with renewed determination. "We have a ship to find and a promise to keep." As they reached the outpost door, Elias looked back once more. In the distance, a flash of violet against endless white, still running, still fighting. Still free? And he knew with bone-deep certainty that this frozen wasteland was not the end of their story, but merely the beginning.